Ready. Play.
Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. We've got an intriguing semi-final clash coming up in Shanghai between Novak Djokovic and Valentin Vacherot. Yes, Valentin Vacherot. You heard me right. Coming into the tournament outside the top 100, he has now, of course, cracked the top 100 with his run to the semi-final, a remarkable run that just came from nowhere and few people would have expected. On the other side of the net, of course, Novak Djokovic, many people would have expected him to make the semis, but lying in wait for him potentially would have been Jannik Sinner, and that's where many would have thought his run would have ended. However, Jannik is no longer in the tournament, having retired injured a couple of rounds ago in his clash with Talon Griekspoor. Griekspoor, of course, was a victim of Vacherot on this incredible run in the round of 16 after a three-set win that saw Vacherot come from a set down to overcome the Dutchman. Vacherot, of course, was an alternate. So he's not even just a qualifier. He was an alternate in the qualification rounds, ultimately squeezing in and then coming through in 3 sets over Basavaredi and 3 sets as well over Draxl. But who would have thought at that stage that we would end up seeing the Monegasque in the semi-finals? In the first round, he beat Les Logere in straight sets before coming from a set down as well to beat Alexander Bublik in 3 sets. He got past Thomas Machac with the Czech retiring down a set and a break. And then in the round of 16, as I mentioned, he got past Griekspoor before beating Holger Rune in the quarterfinal, also coming from a set down. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matches that he has been a set down in before coming back. So maybe if Novak takes the first set, we shouldn't read too much into it. Some other funny, quirky things, by the way. I would like to do a comparison between these two players. We've got their total prize money won. Novak Djokovic is in excess of $190 million, whilst Valentin Vacherot is at just a fraction over $594,000. Now, what does that differential mean? It means it would take, bearing in mind Vacherot has been on the tour the best part of a decade, while of course Novak has been on the tour for over 2 decades, but it would take Vacherot, and I did the calculation, 2,882 years at that rate to eventually get to the amount of money that Novak Djokovic has accrued. Another quirky thing, though, is that is obviously going to change drastically after this tournament. And in fact, should Vacherot make the final, he would earn $597,000 from that alone. And of course, that would eclipse his entire career's earnings. So in the space of just over a week, he could eclipse the entire career earnings that he's done in 9 years on the tour. More than 9 years, I think, on the tour. All right, let's get into the match itself. More comparisons, of course. We've got Djokovic is a 24-time Grand Slam legend, and Vacherot, a surprise semi-finalist who's been making headlines throughout his journey in Shanghai. Let's dive into the preview, key stats, and of course, ultimately, my prediction for this exciting matchup. So let's go. Djokovic, by the way, during this run has overcome. I think Djokovic, by the way, is no. Listen, this Djokovic does the Djokovic, sorry, of 2023, 2021, and pretty much most years of his career, with the odd exception. But let's just think about some of his best years on tour. And as recently as 2023 is one of his best years, albeit that I think obviously 2011 and 2015 would maybe just eclipse it. But and maybe even 2021 as well, of course, when he was almost a calendar Grand Slam champion. But that level is not there anymore. That Djokovic does not struggle to beat Cilic, Hanfmann, and Munar. And even against these two Bergs, The gap should be much bigger, in my opinion, than what turned out. Djokovic obviously needing 2 bites of the cherry in terms of 2 occasions he was trying to serve for the match and nearly got pushed to a tiebreak, even on the second occasion when he was serving for it, squandering 2 match points before eventually sealing the deal. But the Novak Djokovic of 2023 or 2021 or 2011 or 2015 hasn't been needed to get to the semifinals and probably won't be needed to get to the final, as heroic as Vacherot's run has been. In terms of the matchup, anyway, they've never played each other before. So this is their first ever meeting, and Djokovic comes in with a 2025 record that's still pretty consistent. He's probably serving, even if some of the other parts of his game, movement being the primary one, I still think he's serving at the absolute top that he can produce and has produced. I think maybe the reactions on the return are not quite what they used to be. Whilst Vacherot, by the way, has been fearless throughout, and he's attacking early, stepping inside the baseline when he possibly can, and using his athleticism to dictate rallies. Of course, we might have an all-cousin final with Vacherot's cousin Rinderknech, of course, Artur Rinderknech, that is, in the semi-final on the other side of the draw against Daniil Medvedev. So they're probably both outsiders in their semi-finals, but who knows? Stranger things have happened, and even perhaps in the last 10 days in Shanghai. Vacherot's forehand, by the way, has been on fire this week, and his confidence is sky high after beating some of these seeded players, in particular, of course, Holger Rune in the previous round, although Rune was a little compromised towards the end of that match, as we saw also seemingly suffer from cramps. Rune, though, obviously isn't too bad long-term. I see he's just squeezed in as a late entry for Stockholm. Okay, so how will the Djokovic-Vacherot match pan out? For Djokovic, the key is to neutralize Vacherot's pace early, keep rallies deep, mix up the tempo, and expose that relatively untested second serve. Expect Novak to use his backhand down the line often to break up Vacherot's rhythm. As for Vacherot, it's all about shortening the points, I think, but I do think even lengthening the points, if it's not too contradictory, isn't the worst thing in the world, but he's got to keep hitting that ball deep. His serve plus forehand combo will also need to be flawless. What about the intangibles and the pressure factor? Well, I think that might well be the key thing that tips the balance in Novak's favor. Novak, once he goes deep in these tournaments, is not lacking in motivation, especially in Shanghai, where he's enjoyed a great deal of crowd support. Vacherot might get to a point where, let's say he's down a set and a break, and he goes, you know what? This has been a remarkable 10 days that has changed my life forever, both in terms of cracking the top 100, but also prize money, which even if he doesn't get to the final, will still be about 80% of his entire prize money. I think it's about 400,000 he's already earned. So, he certainly had a good 10 days. And he might just go, you know what? This has been great, and think about a tournament, and also just go, you know what? I'm not coming back from this. And I think also the person on the side of the net might get to him. But we'll see. So far, he's really played as though he has nothing to lose. And if he can maintain that, he might make life tricky for Novak. But can you do that across 3 sets? Because I don't see Vacherot winning this in straights. Well, talking of which, my prediction is that I do think Djokovic wins this in straight sets, but not without a challenge. I think Vacherot is enjoying the conditions, at least in terms of surface speed, and he's having a lot of fun in Shanghai, and I do think that might make things tricky. But 2 tight sets, therefore, going the way of Novak. But still, this has been an incredible step forward for Vacherot, making a Masters semi-final that put him in good stead for 2026. What do you think? Do you think Vacherot can pull off the upset, or do you also, like me, see Novak eventually prevailing? Let me know in the comments section below, and also make sure you give us a follow on Instagram at Talking Tennis TT, and on TikTok as well, Talking Tennis. Oh, and we'll also have a watch along for this match with James and Zack, so be sure to join us for that. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.